Hello again, Year 9. Today we are going to be starting a new topic, and the topic that we are going to be looking at for the next week or two is the topic of angles. This is something that you'll have done some work on in Year 7 and Year 8, so great opportunity to revisit some of those skills, and we will also be touching upon the points of some of the things that we discussed when we did some revision before your autumn assessment. So today we are looking at the topic of angles, and what we are interested in today is identifying the different types of angles and using the associated names with those types of angles. We'll also be introducing 1-letter and 3-letter notation for naming specific angles. So the first thing that we need to know is there are 4 different types of angles, and I'm sure all of these words that we use today are words that you will be familiar with. The first type of angle that we're going to look at is an angle that is smaller than 90 degrees. Okay? And an angle that is smaller than 90 degrees is called an acute angle. Smaller than 90 degrees is called an acute angle. And that's quite easy to remember. Something that's small is cute, acute. The next angle that we need to know is an angle that we've already referred to in our last topic of Pythagoras. Okay, and this is an angle that is like the corner of a square, which is exactly 90 degrees. And we know that that is called a right angle. Now, another way that I like to identify angles if I'm struggling is by using, of course, pizza. Because who doesn't love pizza? I want you to imagine that in between the arms of the angles, you have a slice of pizza. And the way that I remember this is I start with a right angle, because the slice of pizza that would be in a right angle is exactly a quarter of a pizza. So what I always say to myself is if my slice of pizza is smaller than a quarter, then it is an acute angle. If it isn't exactly quarter of a pizza, then that is a right angle. The 2 other angles that we need to know about are these 2, represented in these 2 diagrams. Okay, we've got an angle that is larger than 90 but smaller than 180 degrees, and you might recall that that one is called an obtuse angle. And then we've got this large angle that is bigger than 180, and sometimes I think that this kind of picture looks a little bit like a Pac-Man, if you're familiar with that video game. And this is called a reflex angle. But again, just to think about pizzas for a moment, an obtuse angle is more than quarter of a pizza, but less than half a pizza. So if you see something that is obtuse, thinking pizzas, it's more than quarter of a pizza, but less than half. And a reflex angle is more than half a pizza. So just another way of visualizing these angles today. So in some of the questions that you try today, you might see some geometric shapes, you might see some triangles, 3-sided shapes, you might see some quadrilaterals, 4-sided shapes, and you might also see this slightly different notation for writing angles. Okay, now I can use a single letter to name an angle. If I wanted to name this angle here, I could call that angle C. I could call this angle angle A. However, in more complicated diagrams, we quite often use 3 letters. So what do these 3 letters mean? If you're trying to work out where angle BAC is, which one is it? Okay, well, what you need to do is you need to imagine you were walking from B to A to C and see what it draws out. So if I go from B to A to C, the angle that it's drawing out is that pointy angle there at A. Okay, So that would be angle BAC. Similarly, this angle up here would be BCA. Or I could write it the other way around, ACB. So the order that I write it doesn't really matter as long as I have the right angle in the middle of those three letters. So let's mark on where angle BAC is for each of these triangles and then work out which type of angle it is. So B to A to C, B to A to C is drawing out that angle there. Okay, well, what type of angle is that? Picture pizzas if you prefer, or just have a look at it. That's a nice small angle, so that is an acute angle. So that one is acute. How about angle BAC in this second triangle? So from B to A to C is that angle there. Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but BA is a vertical line, CA is a horizontal line, so that actually is a perfect right angle. So in this triangle, BAC is a right angle. Finally, let's look at this last triangle, angle BAC. BAC is drawing out that angle there. And sometimes you need to turn your head slightly. But again, if I'm picturing a piece of pizza, well, that would be about a quarter. And this is a little bit more than quarter of a pizza, which makes it an obtuse angle. It is bigger than 90, but less than 180. So there are some questions for you to try. And the questions that you are going to try are going to come from the 1 to 3 green book. And you'll be able to access a copy of these questions by clicking on the link in my instructions to the PowerPoint. If you can draw some of these pictures to go with the questions, that would look better than just a set of answers. So I'll leave that entirely up to you. You don't necessarily need to draw everything out, but certainly in question 3, you do have to do some diagrams. All of the answers are at the end, so please check your work. And remember, you can get in touch using the Ask the Teacher channel.